All right, thank you to for joining us today. Again, this is Let's Talk About Jesus, and this is the Viewpoint Ministries of podcast. And of course, we are here to have a brief conversation. So for those who are, whether you miss it or you didn't get to listen, I will encourage you to go back and listen to our conversation or our questions to Dr. Yetunde Nduker, where we looked at the psychology of man's relation with God. And of course, on this side, we're going to be looking at the connection between our relationship as humans and our relationship with God. And I'm going to bring Dr. Nduker up for us. Hey, Dr. Nduker, how are you today? Thank you for.
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, and thank you so much for the live we just finished on Let's Talk About Jesus on YouTube and Facebook as well, where we look at the psychology of man's relationship with God. But on this side, we are looking at the connection between our relationship as human and our relationship with God. What it is, how does it look like, and how does that affect us? Our relationship to each other and our God. How does that affect us? Over to you.
Yeah, sure. So thank you so much for having me. So one of the things that I kind of want to echo on is, this relationship that we have. When you think about a relationship, whether this is with a friend or a coworker or your spouse, or your neighbor, you try to think about things that you enjoy the most, things that help you kind of build and maintain your relationship. So one of the things that we talked about during the live stream was the fact that we need communication, right? Communication is important because no relationship would thrive without intentional communication. And when I say intentional communication, it's a two-way street, right? If you are asking your friend a question and they don't respond, how do you get your answer? When we communicate with God, we are pouring things into Him that we need help with or we want to thank Him for, right? And when we hear from God, it comes from, hearing from the Holy Spirit, reading our Bible. So these are some of the things that I think about. So when I think about human relationships in connection to our relationship with God, one of the things I would like to say is that all relationships are anchored on something. It may be something that we value, something that we honor about that person, or something that we respect with that person. So for me, the relationships are usually anchored on a particular thing that we have in common. So when you think about that and you think about your relationship with God, our relationships is what keeps us kind of grounded, right? It gives us this purpose of, hey, I want to go back, or hey, I don't want to go back. So if someone has now messed up a relationship between you and a friend, there might have been something that they have done that you say, okay, I don't want to experience this again, and I'm gonna go away. But that doesn't happen with God. I believe that when our relationship is anchored on God and it's influenced by Him, we keep God in the center of our life. We think about values, we think about honor, we think about respect, and we know that these are things that are the utmost important when we now think about a friend. Those same things matter to God. So if we think about honoring God, if we think about valuing who He is, if we think about respecting Him, these are ways that we can now connect our relationship with humans to our relationship with God. It's not difficult. It's very easy. Think about the things that you have anchored with your friends, people who work with you, with your spouse. What are those things anchored on? And then you can kind of relate it or connect it to what God is looking out of us or looking for out of us. we want to make sure that we are honoring God, that we're respecting God, that we're following his values. So that the connection is that simple.
All right, thank you, Dr. Anduka, for that. It is important that we'll follow each other in that way. First of all, if we don't even follow each other, how can we say we follow God that we don't see? I mean, it is as simple as that, because the way and manner in which I conduct myself to my fellow human being shows whether I actually honor God, whether I actually believe in God, because there is no way to demonstrate to others how the love of God is when I can't even show it to others as well. Very important. Thank you so much for doing this for us. We really appreciate your time.
No problem at all. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, thank you. And then stay with me in the studio. And everyone, we want to say a big thank you. We want you to follow us on our platform for the podcast, and as well as every other place where you get your podcast from, Apple, Google, or Amazon. We are also in Audible as well. We want you to visit our website, www.viewpointministriesinternational.org. And of course, you can email us info@viewpointministriesinternational.org. And until next time, my name is Solomon Oluwabiyi. Until then, you will get to hear from us again. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Bye.